Hi everyone, Shirtlight here. I've been playing SD Gundam G Generation Portable again lately, and I've noticed that there are certain difficulty jumps in the early game, and that the game doesn't really tell you about that. While some stages, like the Soul War and the Pocket stage, the third stage for Gundam X, and the second stage for Seed Destiny, prove initially challenging with their abundance of enemies, there are definitely stages whose challenge lies in what type of enemies you're up against. Now, assuming you're starting from the 0079 campaign, the difficulty spikes arrives quite early. The first stage, Gundam Rising, can be beaten quite easily, thanks to both Amoro's Gundam being a good source of damage, and the fact that by this point, your starting lineup can dispatch the Zeon jobbers with only a few attacks. If you play your cards right, you can use the Gundam to decently damage up to 4 units within the initial 2 turns without rushing too far forward, and if you focus down the Papua or the Musai, that's a handful of Zaku F-types completely for free. It ain't a bad early game XP grinding stage either, assuming you have a decently leveled up pilot and sortie with a master unit instead of a group. As for the second stage, Karma Strikes, it isn't necessarily difficult, but it features a ground terrain that's hard to traverse using the F-type Zakus you might have captured, and in disguise, there are 3 Gaw heavy bombers, which leads me to the topic of this video. The Gaw is an enemy present in 2 stages, Gundam 0079 Stage 2 called Garma's Fate, and Stage 4 called Tragedy in Jaburo. It has 27,500 HP, 144 energy, carry capacity of 6, and a movement speed of 10,000 a turn. What makes it a force to be reckoned with, though, is its bombardment map attack, scoring a guaranteed 4,000 damage hit on any unit underneath, within a 4-tile radius, which can decimate or heavily damage a lot of your early game units. That's pretty much half of a Tornado Gundam's HP, or almost 2/3 of a Zaku 2's health pool. Throw in a generally slow land speed for units that can't fly, and you've got yourself a recipe for a disaster. In this entry, I'll be going over how to take these purple birds down in both stages. Now, the fast yet risky strategy is to use your 3 Tornadoes and the Phoenix Gundam, likely with some levels on their pilot, or maybe even with a helpful option part or 2. All 4 of them can fly, so if you feel like you can confidently take out the ship in a few turns, you can in fact ascend to the air layer of the map and pick them off one by one. If you want to go the slower way, you can do some prep for the stage. My recommendations are the Stage 1 of Seed Destiny, or if you need money/cheapo units, you should try doing the Stage 2 of Afterwar Gundam X. Let me explain. In the case of Seed Destiny Stage 1, I recommend using this one to stack up on flying units, specifically the Dagger L, which you can easily switch into the Jet Dagger L using the HP as option in the menus, or by tapping the square before you sortie it from a ship, and select the Jet Striker option. If you got some Zaku 2s beforehand, they will come in handy against the laminate coating the grunts on this mission have. The first wave of units here are 6 Dark Daggers, 1 Gaia, Chaos, and the Beast Gundams each, and after turn 1, enemy reinforcements will arrive, containing 1 Exas Mobile Armor, 6 Dagger Ls with cannon backpacks indicated by the D on their icon, and lastly a Gertie Lu class ship, which is what you're truly after, since it contains the 4 Dagger Ls, which can be captured if they're outside their respective ship after you sink it. This might seem a little tough at first, but you can use the guest units of Force Impulse, Minerva, and both Rei and Luna's Zakus to your advantage. One thing I like to do on turn 1 is to move the Impulse 2 tiles down, blast forward with Minerva's Tannhauser cannon in order to nearly kill the Chaos Gundam in front of you, and then try and get your carry base group to the Minerva group. After this, convert Rei's Zaku Phantom into a Gunner Zaku Phantom, and have both him and Luna Maria sortie from the ship to provide some ranged defense. If you want to scramble your own units, feel free to do so, just don't overextend and you should be fine. If all goes well, the enemy should be down to Gertie Lu, its own units, and maybe a couple of the cannon daggers, which you have to leave at least one of them alive, otherwise the mission will end after you make the units from the ship surrender, so keep that in mind. Kill the ship and claim your 4 Dagger Ls. As for the second Gundam X stage, this is a great stage for getting a lot of cheap units, which you can either keep or sell for money. Obviously, it comes after the first one, but that one's very straightforward, since you get the Gundam Leopard and Gundam Airmaster as backups, and if you use the axe to stall for time while your ship and the other 2 mop up the level, you're golden. Now, as for the second stage, you're starting right off the bat with 4 Pyrenees class land ship, each carrying 2 Dortress weapons and 1 Dortress each. On the field, there are 3 Dortress weapons and 2 teams of 3 Dortresses, 4 standard and 2 commander variants. Lastly, there's Gundam Versago and Gundam Asteron on the field, which can be fairly annoying early on. So that's the enemy side, at least the initial batch of it. You can take out the Frost Brothers by using the Satellite Cannon on turn 1. which takes a hefty bite out of their HP, and vaporizes the Dotra's weapon behind them. If Garrett engages them directly afterwards, backup arrives, and when you take out either of the two enemy Gundams, the rest of the map reveals itself. The second wave of enemy force is composed of 15 Dotra's units total. 2 Pyrenees-class land ships with its usual cargo, 3 Dotra's weapons, and all the way up you see a giant mobile armor, which fortunately can't move, alongside 3 more Dotra's. There isn't much to be said here, since taking out the groups of jobber units and capturing the ones inside ships is fairly straightforward. What isn't as simple is taking down the Grand Dean mobile armor over there, since it has a lot of HP and one mean map attack. What I recommend is having all your units placed in front of the large vertical line that separates the terrain and the new top lab. If you place Garrett somewhere over here, i.e. 8 tiles below the mobile armor, and 1 to the left or to the right, you're effectively out of the map attack's gargantuan range and can hit it for big damage using the satellite cannon with impunity. You can also drag in 3 Vulture's land ships as well, since they are expendable, can bring their own units, can tank the attack for multiple turns, and you can use them to heavily damage/take out the mobile armor. So yeah, that's the 2 good options in as far as the early game mission prep goes, in case you want to make 0079 Stage 2 look like a cakewalk. Since, let's face it, the air superiority is the only major threat on that one. With the extra flyers, and with the fact that your only ground adversaries is a bunch of tanks and 2 J-Type Zaku's alongside Char, you shouldn't have too much trouble with it. At the same time, the Dotra's units will come in handy as land units for Stage 3. I did mention that the Gaw is also a major presence in Stage 4, and this one can get tough, even without the purple bombers. However, there is a strategy to this, and a simple one at that, albeit a little bland. What you do is that you deploy the ship group on the top right spot and you start moving everything underground on turn 1. Take the Type 61s on the bottom over there, the ones on the top over here, and select this option to move them a couple floors down. Don't do anything with the bottom ones afterward, they will serve as a stopgap. Before you end the turn, pack all the gems you have into the big tray and move that ship towards the upper entry point. Same goes for your main ship group. Now use Amro's Gundam, which is already underground, to attack Char and end the turn. Multiple things will now happen. First, there will be a bunch of enemy units in the form of 5 Egg Guys, 3 up top, 2 down, 1 Zok, 1 Mad Angler in the river outside, with 4 amphibious units on board, alongside 2 Zagogs and 1 Gog. This is the first and the most manageable wave of reinforcements. Move your upper tanks up top off the entry point and attack the Egg Guys, hopefully scoring some hits in the process. Now that the entry point is clear, move the big tray and your ship group underground and unload some of your units right away, so that you can start engaging the enemy unit. End the turn by having Amro finish Char off, which triggers the final phase of the 4th stage. There will be a ton of enemy forces swarming in, which means that since all your units, save for the recently arrived Flyment team, are now underground, the enemy will have to enter via one of the 3 entry points. What effectively happens though is that the white base, which can now move, is blocking one. The 2 tanks on the bottom are blocking the bottom one, at least until the amphibious units take them out, meaning that effectively speaking, all of them will be funneled through the top entry point right into the kill box, which you have effectively created. If you leave enough space open, the enemy force will enter, 2 enemies at a time, and when the Gaws come in, wait for them to deploy their units before blasting them to bits, like the flying purple pinatas they have now become. By the time you're done, you should have multiple units successfully captured, leaving only the enemy submarine outside for you to take out. Just like that, you can turn the once menacing Gaws into mincemeat on the 2 stages they appear on. Hopefully I wasn't too exhaustive with my explanation and such. I tried to be thorough and cover my bases and whatnot, but it definitely came at the expense of brevity. There's more stuff being worked on, so despite things getting busier on my end, there's more than enough things worth looking forward to. I'll see you on the next one, so feel free to like, comment and subscribe. And until then, this is SureLad, signing out.